Hey, GovCon Giants family, your host, Eric Coffey here today, bringing you another exciting episode of the GovCon Giants podcast. Today's guest, Mr. Mike Melo, co-founder actually with his wife, an organization, ITA International, back in 2003. Mike, it's really exciting story to tell you, to bring you how they got into cyber intelligence and data analytics in this upcoming episode. The organization name ITA stands for In the Arena, which was a passage taken from a famous speech by Teddy Roosevelt in 1910 that Mike's father gave to him back in 1968 before going off to Vietnam. So today we're going to talk with Mike about his latest acquisition that he made with the organization, how he grew the business alongside his wife, how he built it up to more than 300 employees in over 20 countries. Such exciting stuff today. Again, all of you IT folks out there, cyber people, service-based industry people, this is the episode to listen to pay attention, take notes. Mike is a super humble guy, and I know personally from people in the DMV Beltway who had nothing but great things to say about them. They are an amazing company, and they have a guiding principle and philosophy that they live by. We're going to discuss all of that and more into today's episode. Welcome, our next giant, Mr. Mike Melo.
I'm Mike Melo. I'm the CEO of ITA International. We're a defense contracting company down in Newport News, Virginia. I like to describe ourselves as we do data-enabled services for Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security. And we have subject matter expertise in a variety of fields, mainly analysis, planning, training, exercises. But we've added maintenance, logistics, acquisition management, and cybersecurity recently. So we have a very diverse group of people supporting the government across many different customers.
And I did, just so you know, I did do my homework and I read about your story.
Okay.
And so what I like to do is I don't want to repeat what people already know about you, right?
Okay.
So let's talk about some other things. And I'm curious, first of all, why you decided to come on today and tell your story?
I think it's very important to share, I guess, an entrepreneurial journey, okay? Because I had a lot of people when I first started, a lot of people helped me out. And I had a couple of companies I'd go and I'd talk to them about being in business, and they would chuckle at me and say, hey, Mike, this is what we did. It might not work for you, but so we did. And so that experience, and I think entrepreneurs have a kinship to start a business, okay? Right. And I think we're all in there to help. There's plenty of work out there. We can all help each other. And I'm a big veteran supporter here in Virginia. And a lot of people come to me, Mike, I want to start a business, and I'll share with them my experiences. I think that's what it is. It's about sharing the entrepreneurial story, because I think it's so critical.
No, and I agree. And that's why I created the podcast, to share those stories. That was the purpose. That's the intent. And I wanted something that was specifically focused on government contracting, not just a round of world entrepreneur story, just because I felt like there's enough entrepreneur podcasts. I wanted to do something specific to government contract, and even more specific to the federal arena, for that matter. Yeah. And so that's our focus. No, that's great. Now, in 2005, you decided to go off on your own, retired naval officer, and you left what was written in an article, a good state job. What was that good state job that you had, that you gave up, Mike, so vehemently to come out there and start ITA?
Yeah, people think I'm crazy, but I retired from the Navy, and I was working at Old Dominion University, running a program called Troops to Teachers. And it recruit military personnel to go in and be teachers in high need schools across the Commonwealth. So it's a great program. But I always wanted to start my own business. And ITA is my second business. The first business failed miserably, okay? It was a marine maintenance business that we did maintenance on small boats. We'd go to their place and do it. It failed. My wife said, the only thing I got out of that was an air compressor that I still have for my bikes, okay? That's the only thing we still have left. I decided to go into government contract because I understood the government, and I understood what their problems were. And so I converted from being a marine maintenance into analysis and planning company for DoD. So I made that transition. I got a contract for one person for 1 year, and I'll never forget. I walk out. We're down in Nags Head. I walk out and tell my wife, I say, "Hey, have I got a deal for you? I'm gonna leave a state job. I get 7 weeks off a year. I run my own schedule, and I'm gonna go start a company that I can guarantee I'll have work for 1 year." And she's actually my partner in business, and she said, "Go ahead." And so we jumped in with both feet, and we haven't looked back.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's the story.
And as I understand, the funds that you used to start with.
You talking my daughter's college fund? Is
That's
that
right. That's right.
she didn't hear this story till she'd actually graduated from college. But no, we leveraged my daughter. She was a senior in high school at the time, actually.
Oh, wow.
And I retired from the Navy. I got a good job, and my wife was a school teacher. She stayed a school teacher. I took a minimal salary. We used that to try to launch the company because I knew we'd be successful. There wasn't a doubt in my mind. And end up, it didn't come back and hurt her. She went through college, graduated, and she is actually, we just promoted her from being the chief people officer to the chief of growth for the company. She actually works in the company now. So
that's great.
But we used her. We used her to. I don't like to borrow money. I can tell you that right now. And so we used that money that we had to start the company.
With that said, did you take any other outside money when you were growing the business, or is it just grew organically?
We grew organically, and I always tell people I learned early cash flow because I had one contract for one person. Within a month, I got a contract for 8 more people. So I went to a buddy of mine that was a president of a bank, and I said, "Hey, Bob, I had a line of credit for $25,000. I said, I need $225,000. And so he said, okay, Mike, he says, government contractors fail. And I said, yeah, I know. But I said, he gave me the money. We took off. My prime, I was a sub to another company, and my prime was paying me at net 95. Okay. And I used 200. It was terrible. 200.
That's hard. Like that's hard.
And I had $10,000 left. And I called her up and I said, hey, I just want to know when I'm going to get paid. And she says, well, Mike, running a company is not for the faint of heart. And I said, okay. So she FedExed me a check. I made my payroll. But then what you learn is cash flow because you had to service the debt. You still had to make payroll. And it took us 10 months to pay that off. Right. And from then on, my wife, Kathy, and I, we tried not to borrow money. We just borrowed money actually for the first time this year when we made an acquisition. We bought a company. And we did a leverage buyout of the company. We made an acquisition, but we don't borrow money unless we have to. I tell people that. And to me, that was borrow money for growth as opposed to operations. If you borrow money for operations, it's not going to end well.
Right. It's bad. That's bad. Right. No, that's bad. No. That's really bad. That's bad. I agree. Now, you mentioned understanding cash flow. Where did you learn that?
That experience right there. I mean, because I thought, I get this money out, everything is going to be good. But it didn't work that way because I thought, I'm going to get this money in and I'll pay off that debt. I was, wait a minute, I got that money in. But that was only for the first month. And I've got, when you think net 95, that's 125 days.
Right, because you have to do the work first and then build. Yeah, right.
Exactly right. And I said, okay, so I mapped that out. And Kathy, my wife and I, we'd say, okay, we'll pay this much each month. It's just like it's just like your own home finances where you borrow money to buy a house or something. You got to, I'll pay this much money. And so we did that. And we have grown this company from one person to 397 today with organic cash, except for that acquisition thing. So
that's interesting. And it's going back to an interview that you did 7 years ago. You were talking about making acquisitions of companies back then.
And we looked at acquisitions and a couple opportunities we looked at buying and we didn't buy. And we finally, this year, we found the perfect company for us. It was a great match culturally. It was very complementary to our skill sets. It gave us that data-enabled services that we're talking about because we're migrating from simply a direct services company to a company that uses data to better enable us to provide our service to the government. And I actually use Netflix as an example because you think about Netflix, they're a video streaming company,
right? But
they use data to help provide that video streaming better. Right. We want to use data to help provide those government services better. And so that it's a very similar model. You can make the model for CarMax or Capital One or any of those companies. They use data to help provide that service. And that's what we're trying to do at ITA.
I guess for me, the first thing comes to mind is insurance companies.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right? They have tons of hey, Mike, they're using some data.
Especially with my driving record. No, I probably can't say that on tape.
No, that's okay. Yeah, no. Listen, well, remember, I had Progressive, and they put that thing in your car to.
Oh yes. Yeah.
You know what, Mike? I didn't save any money with that thing. I took it out. I think it was hurting me more than it was helping me. I took that.
Yeah, I can see. Oh, here's Eric again. You
Right.
got the
It's
report.
like Trick's beeping and it's red flag up at the office. Think about that. Imagine if they have that in tens of thousands of cars, and the thing is just
Oh,
up and
collecting
down.
data. Yeah.
Collecting
I
data.
actually, I just bought a Tesla.
Okay.
I bought a Next, and
Uh-huh.
it's just a computer on wheels, and they're connected to all the other computers on wheels, and they're talking to each other all the time.
Right.
And so they have this tremendous amount of data. And my iPhone,
Right.
heck, I drive down the road from here home. This can tell me where the Starbucks is that I stop off every day.
It sure does. That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't even have to think anymore. So
no, my phone does the same thing. When I get in my car, it'll tell me how far is the gym. Even though I go there, I mean, it just says it's like you're 4 minutes from the gym. Okay, thank you. How did you know I was going to the gym? Well, I guess you go to the gym this time every morning, so it knows probably going to the gym.
I was just Alexa the other day. I said, Alexa, what's the weather in Yorktown today? And she told me, and she says, oh, and I think you're low on coffee. You need to order some. I said,
no. Seriously?
She did. You're low on coffee. You look like Carrie. I said, oh, Alexa's been watching me.
Wow, that's I don't give Alexa that much power. I don't need, between Alexa and Siri, we've got.
They got you. Yeah,
they
know you better than anybody.
That's right. So let me ask you this: I know you've always been, you're a veteran yourself, and you've hired veterans, and I think now you have over 100 veterans working for your company or so.
We do.
Is that a coincidence, or was that part of your strategy?
Well, can I say both?
Okay. No, sure.
Yeah. No, I think, in our business, hiring veterans gives us a leg up because most of the work we do is for the government and in supporting them in a variety of fields that I talked about. But also, I tell people it's a common bond that we have already. So it's easier, more integration into the company. We at ITA, I tell people we're trying to build a different kind of company, that we take care of our employees, we take care of our customers, we do the good stewardships, we're involved in our community. Because I believe business can do good, and business should do good. And so at ITA, we're trying to do that here. So hiring veterans is it's a no-brainer for me. I actually ran the Virginia Chamber of Commerce Military and Veterans Affairs Council, and I was on that group. I had CVS, I had JP Morgan, I had Capital One, I had Dominion Energy, all these very large companies looking at hiring veterans because they knew what veterans provided to their industry. So they were actively recruiting them, not because, it was feel good. It was because they come with a high set of skills that they can use to help grow their business. And so that's what ITA is doing.
By the way, tell us the name and the meaning behind ITA.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a great story. I love this story, but
I love it as well. I actually, it's worth mentioning.
Well, in 1968, we were stationed in Victorville, California. My dad was a fighter pilot in the Air Force, and he was learning to fly the F-4 going to Vietnam. And so, in fact, that summer, we sanded down a desk. It's an old wood desk, and I am sitting at that desk right now. Okay, wow. But my dad gave me this quote. It's a Teddy Roosevelt quote called "In the Arena," and it's about not being a critic. It's about getting into reading. And if you strive and if you fail, you failed while daring. To me, that's what entrepreneurship is all about. So when I started this company, it's been 16 years now. I named the company after that quote. ITA stands for In the Arena. And I tell people our mission as a company is to serve those in the arena. So we serve DOD and DHS. But at the 10-year anniversary, and my dad passed away about 2 years ago, and he had a great life, but at the 10-year anniversary, my dad came to our ceremony, and I got a picture of him sitting at that desk with me standing next to him in a company that was named after a quote he gave me in 1968. And I was 12 years old. I used it throughout my Navy career. I've used it to run this business. And to me, it's just serving those in the arena. It's just customer focus. That's good business. If you're customer focused and you do the right thing and you take care of your customer, you can grow a company. That's what I believe. So. But that's the quote. My dad gave it to me. He was never prouder sitting at that desk, thinking about what we had accomplished at that particular point in time. And it was just, I was glad he was able to see it. So,
that's good. Yeah, at least you got a chance to see thing take off.
Yeah, exactly. You can't, this is a podcast, but you can't see us. But
yeah, we got the video running. We can see it.
There's the quote right there.
Hold on. Let me zoom you in 1 second.
No, sorry. Whoop, that's the wrong one.
That's okay. Now you're zoomed in.
There it is. There's the quote
Ah.
that my dad gave me in 1968. So I still have it in my little notebook.
Now, he actually wrote that out to you.
No, that's a Teddy Roosevelt. It's a little copy of a little thing. It's a Teddy
Okay. So
Roosevelt.
he took a copy of it and gave it to you, the copy.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so when I retired from the Navy, he gave me a copy that I have hanging on my wall in here too. So, but I keep that in my notebook just to remind me where we came from. So it's a good story.
No, I like that. And you said that, and also you said that you are American Dream because your grandfather came over. Tell us.
Yeah, my grandfather immigrated from the Azores Islands back in the early part of
What islands?
The Azores in Portugal.
Okay.
They're off of Portugal. He immigrated back at the turn of the last century, 1900s, like 1918 or so, and settled in Crow's Landing, California. I was a dairy farmer there, and my grandfather spoke 4 languages.
Wow.
He's very smart, and he loved America. He came to America, and it was a dream to come to America. And he used to get mad at the other Portuguese that wouldn't learn English. He said, "Hey, you're an American. I'll learn English." And so then my dad graduated from high school in 1946. And so because all the veterans were coming back from World War II, he couldn't go to college. And so he joined the Marine Corps, and he enlisted in the Marine Corps in 46. He served 2 years in the Marine Corps, and then they started the Air Force. So he did a lateral transfer to the Air Force, and then he flew for 25 years. And my dad was one of the smartest men I ever met, but he got his bachelor's degree and then his master's degree while I was in the Air Force. And so here I am. I'm a second generation American. I'm living the American dream. We built a company from scratch. We started from scratch. We risked everything. And now we have something that we're very proud of. And our employees are proud of this company. They're proud to be part of ITA. And we actually call them ITAers. You're a part of this company, you become an ITAer.
ITAer.
ITAer, that's what we call ourselves. Okay. And so to me, that is the American dream,
Absolutely. Have you reached outside of the federal arena, like into the private sector and the commercial work?
I have. Okay.
Okay. What was that?
No, but I think if you're a government contractor, you build an organization for government contracting.
Right.
Because you have, different accounting systems, the DCAA, DCMA, the government contract, all those kinds.
Right.
And understanding the buy-in cycle of the government is different than a commercial. I actually, in 2010, I went chasing after oil and gas because a lot of the skill sets we use in the military with analysis and planning and so forth, we could use in the oil and gas industry because they're operating on a global scale across, and just like the military does. And so finally in 2014, I got a contract with Shell Oil Company to do analysis and planning for them, some training exercises for them. This was after Deepwater Horizon spill down the Gulf Coast. They were trying to do some emergency plan, emergency exercising kind of stuff. And so we got hired to do that. Well, so it took me 4 years buying to get there. We bought it. They finally awarded in November of 2014. And in the summer of 14, the oil price started shrinking. Shell Oil laid off 6,000 people in January. And the guy says, "Mike, I'm laying off people at Shell. We cannot hire your company to do that." So, and then the oil finally came back 3 years later, but the contract was expired. So I spent 7 years trying to get that contract, and I didn't get anything out of it. So I said, "Hey, we're going to focus on the government space." So, we weathered sequestration. Sequestration was pretty tough for us as a company. We were at about 120 people. Sequestration came along. We got down to 67 people. And then we won the Oasis contract, and we've grown from then. So
now, what is sequestration?
Sequestration back in Congress couldn't agree on a budget. Okay. So they agreed that, hey, if we don't agree on a budget, then we're going to make these automatic cuts. Okay. And so it was across the board cuts from the DoD perspective. And so, instead of everybody coming to a table and making up a budget and working on it, they just let somebody, I can't, it's not my fault. That got sequestration. So they did that, and they did a bunch of cuts, and then they overrode the next couple of years. But so we had an organization that we were supporting probably 9 years, and we got awarded the contract in August. And then the first part of September, they called me up and said, "Hey, Mike, we decided to just establish that command because of sequestration." So I had 18 people on that contract. I had to let them go, and so that was probably the toughest part. I tell people, talk about cash flow. 2013, I think we had a $300,000 loss by June of that year. But by the end of that year, we managed our cash. We made some changes. And this is all part of business, I think. It's just the cycle. We were down to only a negative 30K. And so we recovered, and that was the only year. And my CFO says, Mike, that's not really, it's only negative 30K. That's not losing money. You're just a little bit low. That's okay.
Right. Sure.
That's
Yeah, that's
money.
fair. I would agree with that. I mean, it's almost balanced.
Well, almost it is. That's the only year.
Well, again, at that level, the level you're at, right? If you're, you know, you're one man business losing 30K,
it's tough.
It's it. That's a death blow.
But I said, hey, when people said, Mike, it's only $1,000. I said, okay, open your wallet and give me $1,000. And you put it in perspective. Oh, Mike, I'm not giving it. Well, that's the point.
That's
you
the
should
point
treat it like it's your money. And it's real interesting. Have you finished No Rules yet? Are you?
No, I have not finished.
You finished it? Okay, then I won't tell you the story. Okay.
But you can tell me. Tell us. Tell it.
He said they had said, hey, let's tell our employees to spend their money like it was their own. Okay. Mm-hmm. I said, that makes sense. And I've used that here in our company. And they found out that, some people are more frugal than others.
Right.
And so when they spend it like their own, if they're extravagant, they're going to spend that way. If they're frugal, they're going to spend that way. And so he said, now he tells them to spend your money in the best interest of Netflix.
Right.
So it puts it in the company's perspective as opposed to spend your money like
right. Which that does make sense. There's like my mom wouldn't spend $1. She, you take out to dinner. She's not ordering no steak. She's not ordering the lobster. she's ordering a salad and some chicken. I mean, that's her mindset. You said, Mom, look, we can afford steak. No, I'm not spending all that money on a steak. They won't, right?
I laugh. My mom, I actually lost both my parents here in the last couple of years, but my mom one day, and she's at this retirement community, and she had a stroke, and so. But I come over one day, the company, we're 200 people, we're doing pretty well. She goes, Mike, do you need any money? No, Mom, I'm good. I think I'm okay. I'm okay, but I'm always her little boy. No matter what, I'll be her little.
No matter what.
No matter how. So.
Isn't that great though? Isn't that great that you could chuckle about that? I think that's great.
Same thing to my daughters.
No, that's great. That's great. How many kids?
We have two daughters, two girls. Like I told you, one's the chief of growth, and one actually just joined us. Both of they're not girls, they're women, but both of them are in the company now. And one is chief of growth, and the other one just joined us 6 months ago, and she is the manager of our innovative solutions contracts. So. So she's on board. It's a family-run business.
No, that's great. That's great. Now tell me one thing that was hard when you started in business that's still hard today. This is a tough one.
Oh, that is a tough one.
Because you seem to brush everything off pretty easily.
No, my wife will tell you that is not true.
Okay. All right. No, just hey.
I think you got to have a drive. And I tell people, I think the hardest thing, as you grow a business, and ITA is trying to grow a company. I mean, we're trying to grow. Our goal is to get to $200 million by next 5 years. And so I think the hardest thing is that people that you started with, because I had a lot of friends that came and worked with me, and, I knew them from the military. But as we got bigger and be more sophisticated, you have to have some pretty tough conversations with some friends of yours,
right?
Because you got to do what's in the best interest of the company. And we're very, my people tell you that we're very sensitive to how we treat people. We do not treat people like commodities at ITA. They're our employees, they're our friends, they're trying to grow it. And so those conversations were probably the toughest thing. I think the other toughest thing is growing the company, because the first year of business, we had 20 people. Once a month we'd go out for lunch and we'd talk to everybody. I knew all the people personally. I knew all now, because we have 397 people, I don't know them personally. And so I know you probably find the hardest to believe, but I like people. I like talking to people. I enjoy engaging with people. And so it's tougher the bigger you get. So those are the two things: having those tough conversations and growing to people and trying not to lose that personal touch. My wife and I we didn't do it last year, but we call it the Christmas trip.
Okay.
And so, we visit our customers throughout the year, but started in Thanksgiving, Kathy and I every week and go to our customer sites. We take our employees out for a Christmas party. And not 2020, but 2019, we actually ran out of time. And we had to go in, it was actually 2020, but we had to go in January to finish up the schedule just to go out and see everybody. And, but it helps you get as close to building a personal relationship with your employees as you can, because, you know, the ones who go visit us, they tell us their story. We had one guy, how we delayed our Christmas vacation because we wanted to go to the Christmas dinner with Mike and Kathy. You know? And so it's just, and so you do things. I miss that personal connection we have with our employees, but Kathy and I work very hard to try to maintain that as best we can as we keep getting bigger. And our goal is to try to keep doing it. Kathy actually sends a birthday card to every employee, handwritten birthday card to every employee in the company. And she goes through the list, she gets them and sends it out. And I get thank you notes from everybody. Say thanks for the birthday card. I'm thinking, oh, good. I get the credit for this. Kathy did all the work.
Kathy did all the work. I get the credit for it.
But and so that's the hardest thing, is that personal touch, and you just got to keep working at it, I believe. So
yeah. Wow. Let me ask you. Okay, we were talking about your wife about maintaining a sense of calm, a sense of peace, right? What how do you handle the stressors? How do you alleviate the stressors? Exercise.
Well, I do. My wife and I, COVID has actually been good for us because we work out every morning now. And my wife works out every day, and she's got me now. We go for a walk every morning. And I think exercise is, the other two things is my hobbies are Virginia Tech football, because I love Virginia Tech football. So I got a Hokie bird right back here. And then boating. I love to go boating. So in the summertime, I'm on the water all the time. And any day on the water is a good day. So those are my two hobbies. And I think you need to take those times off. And so, but running a company is a 365-day-a-year job. So I never stop thinking about ITA, but I do take breaks and get away from things and enjoy myself. And my wife and I, we take vacations and we do things together. And we've been married for 39 years in June. And so you think about that. She spent with me 23 years in the Navy, and now we've been in business for 16 years together. If anything can try your patience, those two events can try your patience, but we're going strong. So
that's great. That's great. What do you think? I noticed that you read a lot, and so what are some of the other books or quotes that you live by or that you operate by? Some of the better known maybe books that you gift to your employees. Are there any other things like that? Like when employees come on, do you have something that you say, hey, this is like, one of my guests actually says that his business development team, they watched the Michael Jordan special.
Oh yes, that's a good one on ESPN.
And so that how Michael Jordan turns, on, right?
Yeah.
He actually he has his sales guys watch that to get the idea of how Michael Jordan operated.
Oh yes, that's a guy. I like that. Can I make a note of that?
Yeah, you can take it.
You never stop learning. I actually, my chief people officer gave me a book a couple of years ago. She's my new chief people officer. She used to be the VP of talent management, but Simon Sinek. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
The Infinite Game. And
I haven't heard that one. The Infinite Game.
Yeah, it's Start With Why. I went back and read Start With Why.
Okay, Start Why. I know that one. Right.
I started with the Infinite Game. Okay, and so because to be honest with you, about I guess probably 4 years ago, Kathy and I were going through that decision process of, we knew we were coming out of being a small business in the government space, and there's either small businesses or large businesses. There's very few mid-sized companies.
Yes.
Okay? As actually out of 110,000, there's only 1,512, if you were wondering. So it's
large businesses.
No, well, mid-sized companies.
Mid-sized.
Yeah, and so those are companies over $25 million of annual revenue.
1,500.
It's between 25 million and 500 million. There's 1,512 of those companies. And so we happen to be one of those companies. But, and so Kathy and I went through this process of, should we sell the company? Because we probably had about $250 million in backlog. We probably could have exited and like be sitting on a beach somewhere drinking a Coco Loco or something. But we weren't finished doing what we wanted to do as a company. And we were trying to build a company that's going to make a legacy. And that's when Amber gave me this book, The Infinite Game. And it talked about businesses. It's not, oh, you win this one contract, you won the game. It's not that you get this certain revenue, you won the game. Business is it's a continual game. The goal line keeps moving. The bigger you get, the goal line just keeps moving down. So you got to play it like it's an infinite game. And in order to do that, you have to have a just cause. Okay. And that just cause is sort of like your vision statement, but it is, what are you trying to do as a company? And so after some soul searching, Kathy and I decided that our just cause for the company is we're working to have a secure, stable, and sustainable world. Okay. And I always say, because we're in the global security space, that's what I tell. We have two business units, global security and data analytics. And the global security is man, trained, and equipped DoD, DHS forces as we move forward. But I think if you're going to have a sustainable world, first you got to have security. And when you look at the human experience, the human ecosystem, you can have this insecure world. And I always use Somalia as an example. Here to the United States, you got the first world country, and there's this whole human experience in the middle of it. And so we as a company want to work toward that secure, stable, sustainable world. That's our just cause. Okay, and I got that out of one of the books I read, and to me it made a lot of sense. And so Kathy and I decided not to sell the company, that we wanted to build something that's going to have a legacy and last, and we can turn it over to my daughters or get professional, whatever we do from an exit strategy. But it's a company that it's going to be a different kind of company. It's going to be a company that people are proud to be called ITAers. It's going to be a company that's doing something positive for not only the community, the business, but we are a business and we're here to make money. Okay. And so you bounce those things out, but you can do both of those things. Okay. And so I'm going back to the book, The Infinite Game and Start With Why. The other one I really like is Team of Teams by Stan McChrystal. He talks about, he was the JSOC commander over in Afghanistan, 2004, 2005. And he talks about the epitome of efficiency, that, the bad guys would do something, they go prosecute a target, and they'd be very efficient at it, but they were always one step behind. And so he said, in this modern time that we live in with this information age, that hierarchical structure does not work as well. And you have all these informal teams that develop along lines of communication, basically. And so if you're going to function in this new world and flow information to your entire organization, you got to function more like a team of teams than a chain of command. Okay. And that's unusual for a military guy to think like that, because I'm used to a chain of command, hierarchical structure,
absolutely.
go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in reality, I can think of thousands of times I've worked in an organization, and in an organization, there are certain people to get things done. There's certain people, if I go talk to this person over here, they can do this for me, and this person over here. And so that's the team of teams concept. You figure out who can do that, and you flow information across the organization as quickly as possible, and you make decisions quickly, and you move out. And so those are the books that I would recommend. I don't know if you got them all, but those are the ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have The Infinite Game,
Start With Why, and
Team of Teams. Now, what's the author and Team of Teams?
Stan McChrystal.
Stan McChrystal. So, it's interesting that you're taking notes there, and then I'm taking notes. And that's, well, I find that when you were originally studying entrepreneurs and successful people, what other traits and habits did you pick up from them that you've carried along the way?
I think you got to read a lot. Okay. I like to read. Okay. I like to talk to people because I get best ideas to talk to people. I tell people all the time, I am not the smartest guy in the room. There's a lot of smart people than I am. And if you just go talk to people, you'll find out good ideas. And I think an entrepreneur, if you read a lot, you talk to a lot of people, the thing that I think sets entrepreneurs apart from everybody is the ability to listen to all these different sources and connect the dots. Okay. And I tell people all the time, entrepreneurs don't think linearly. Okay. No. They don't go A, B, C, D. You can't.
No, you can't.
They'll go to A to F, back to B, over here, and they go all over the map. And to me, that's the important thing, is being able to connect the dots. And so if you read a lot, you talk to a lot of people, you go out, experience things, go out, talk to your customers. I mean, it's all good business. I don't have an MBA, okay? And I learned everything for the last 16 years of doing business, Okay. And so I love being in business. I love what I do every day. Okay. I just can't imagine. I tell people I make a terrible employee from that. If I had to go work for somebody else, I'd be a terrible employee.
Was there did you ever have, like, back in high school, a job that, some odd job that you worked?
Oh, I tell people I started my first business when I was 11 because I was a paper boy. And you think about it, I had inventory, I had accounts receivable, I had accounts payable, I had delivery, I had supply chain. I had everything when I was 11 years old. And my mom used to give me grief because I even learned customer service because we lived in Victorville, California when I got that quote in 1968. And I'm riding up this hill and this old lady lived at the top of the hill. So I'd always ride up the top of the hill and drop off a newspaper on her front doorstep. The old paper boy used to throw it, and this lady had trouble down getting the newspaper. But, she used to come out every day when I dropped that newspaper off, she'd bring me a cookie,
Ah,
And to me, that is customer service right there.
right,
You go,
right.
you give something that the customer really appreciates what you're doing above and beyond. And it took me an extra 15 seconds to go up that hill, drop that newspaper off, but it meant the world to that lady. And so I'm gonna just tell you, I did that. I've been a carpenter's helper. I unloaded box cars up at the Williamsburg Pottery Factory. I've been a lifeguard, so that was an easy job. Okay, so yeah, I've had a lot of different jobs, and those all make you better. Everything makes you better.
I mean, I love your attitude. Such a positive attitude. I think that also that same attitude carries over into business. I'm sure people see it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, we have I can't speak enough about the people at ITA. This is just a great group of people. I think they like at least they tell me they like what they're doing. And not every day is perfect. I mean, it's business. Okay. We have ups and downs and, you win some contracts, you lose some contracts, but you just got to keep your eye on the ball and keep moving forward. Okay. And I think our people at ITA, our ITAers, believe in our just cause and they believe in what we're trying to do. They believe in the way we run the organization. I get exit interviews when somebody leaves, and I see this coming all the time that Mike and Kathy really care about the employees, and so people at ITA feel they have a sense of connection to Mike and Kathy Melo, and it's because COVID came when we were actually on a trip. We came back the 13th of March. The 16th of March, we shut down the office. We did teleworking for the next couple of months. Then there's this sense of uncertainty out there, and people didn't know what was happening. So Kathy and I started doing weekly town hall meetings with everybody and say, hey, this is the status of ITA. All the people are employed. We've had 2 people infected, but they're doing fine. And just that sense of communication, because now we used to be all together and we could talk and communicate. And now we have this isolation because we're operating teleworking and you only see people on a camera like this.
Right.
And that town hall meeting really made a connection for people. And so in June of last year, we said, so, hey, that Virginia's coming out of it and they relaxed some of the standards and so forth. And so we said, hey, should we cancel the town hall meetings? And 80% of the people said, no, we should keep doing the town hall meetings. Okay. And so now we do them on a monthly basis. But it's a sense just to build connection, and even our people, we have some people in Guam, in Qatar and UAE. Kathy and I do a 7:30 town hall meeting with them once a month. And just to stay connected, and they truly appreciate that connection piece.
And when you say town hall meeting, what does that mean? What is that? Can you describe it so we could
Yeah,
visualize it?
Yeah, what we do is we're on a call like this. Okay,
Right.
So we're connected to everybody, and we're actually in 24 states and 5 foreign countries we operate in. Okay, So we're across the United States and overseas, and so we'll do a town hall meeting on Teams. Kathy and I will give an update of the company status, what's happened in the company over the last last month. Then we'll have the various departments, like the people group might have some HR issues that they want to talk about. And, the finance groups have some stuff to talk about, contracts. Our ISO, we have our director of quality, we're an ISO qualified company, so they'll talk about different issues that we talk about. Instead of just putting out, they'll put it out over this town hall meeting. But then we started doing Bravo Zulus, and that's a Navy. I'm not sure it's a Navy expression. Bravo Zulu means job well done. Okay. And so then I would just roll down this list of people that are the customer. Hey, this person did a great job, and this person did a great job. And then we had this idea. I forget who had the idea, but we said, hey, let's, because we all have company photos. Let's start putting the slide deck together and put the individual's picture on the photo and run through the slide deck and say, hey, this is Joe and he did a great job. This is Erica, she did a great job. And so they could actually see themselves on the screen and that recognition. But the other thing, if you talk about a learning organization from a company perspective, is everybody across the company got to see, I got somebody in Colorado Springs doing training. I've got somebody in Guam doing investigations. I got somebody in Baltimore doing maintenance. I got somebody in San Diego doing training. And so they started to see the depth and breadth of the company. And it's not like you're getting a lecture. You're just getting to talk to, hey, Joe did a great job and Eric's doing a great job. And so we just recognize him. Right, sorry, I talk in my hands, so I can't help that. Okay.
No, that's okay. I did the same thing. I did the same. Listen, I promise you, I have to like sit on my hands sometimes to, I in real life, I talk with my hands. On the podcast interview. I try to maintain some sense of control. I just learned after doing a couple,
but that's, it all goes back to that thing of connecting with people. That's what it goes back to. And the town hall was just another way for us to do that.
No, thank you for explaining that. So again, for me, when we're sharing with entrepreneurs and they're trying to figure out how to grow their small teams and connect with folks, I mean, any idea helps, right? Yeah. Any other, the birthday cards that your wife does. I mean, those are great ideas that anyone, right? It doesn't cost anything to do it. Or very
exactly
little.
Right.
Very, very, very little.
And you'll score a lot of points with that. So I think so.
No, I agree. My mom still writes out birthday cards and Christmas cards, and she sends them out to people. And it's true. It's nothing like getting a handwritten card in the mail.
Oh, exactly right. No, I'm with you. I agree.
That triggers one of those dopamines that you have.
Yeah, like you get something electronically. Okay, somebody sat down for a minute and they did something. Right. Yeah, especially with my handwriting, it takes me a while to write something else. So you just.
So we know it meant a lot if Mike wrote it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And who is it? George H.W. Bush used to send notes out to everybody. I mean, he had and he would send out 20 notes a day. He would just sit down there and write out a note. So somebody did something. Hey, thanks, you're doing a great job. Send it to him, and it's just, and they would get this personal letter from the President of the United States. That's pretty cool.
That's remarkable.
And it just made all the difference in the world, people's lives. So.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Speaking of that, what's a recent purchase that you made on Amazon that brought you joy?
Oh, sheesh.
That's right. I'm giving you all the tough ones,
Okay. You can find this is silly, but
that's okay. That's why we asked that. That's why I've learned to ask that question, because it tells me more about the person. It tells me like something deeper about the person.
Oh, okay. Well, see, we just bought a house at Nags Head, so North Carolina. So we bought a lot of stuff for that. But the thing that I like most, I bought, it was a monocular.
Monocular.
You got binoculars,
right? So it's
a monocular is just one of them.
Okay.
And so we're at the beach house. I can sit up there and I see a ship come by. I pull it out and I can watch the ship go by. It's actually pretty cool. And it's how you sit out there and look at ships. So
now, why monocular versus binocular?
Because it's just easier. Pick that when you're sitting there, the binoculars, you got to sit there, you got to focus it. And binoculars remind me of when I was in the Navy and I used to have to stand for 4 hours around the ship. And I have this, we call it a brick, and you have this binoculars around your brick. So now I have this little binocular I just pick up and I can look out and see the ship. So It's much easier to do. Okay.
All right.
That's
okay.
That's probably a strange to say, what the heck?
No. Listen, it always tells me something about the person that's unexpected. I don't know. I found that
question. It's a good question.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've had people, believe it or not, I had someone who they would send their sister in the hospital like treats because every week from Amazon before her chemo treatment.
Oh, very cool.
How would you know that?
No, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't even. How would you know to ask anything of that nature? So
yeah.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
I'm a morning person. Okay. I get up every day at 5 o'clock and we go work out, and I like to get up and read my Wall Street Journal,
Yep.
get ready for the day. After about, well, I actually tell people I work from about 4 to midnight. Okay, so you can call me anytime between midnight and 4. Don't call me. Okay, but I'm a morning person, and actually, my whole family's morning people. We get up early in the morning. I like to get up, get the day going. As John Wayne said, I don't want to be burning daylight.
I don't know. I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a morning person as well.
Yeah, I do.
Just some people, I don't. I mean,
Well, some people do better. It's their what's it? Circadian rhythms, whatever that thing.
Right.
Is.
Yeah. They found what works for them.
Exactly. Right. I'd work better in the morning. So.
If you weren't doing this, what else would you be doing?
I have no idea. I'd probably still be at ODU to run the Troops of Teachers program. I'd probably still, because I enjoyed it was a good job. I enjoyed it. I had the freedom to do what I want to do. And it wasn't my ambition. It wasn't what I was trying to do, but it was a good job. So I'd have a job doing something like that. So until I retire. And I don't plan on retiring anytime soon. I'll be 65 this year. I don't plan on retiring.
No plans on retiring.
I'm still young. I got plenty left.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No. I mean, you look good. I mean, I like.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to zoom in some more on the camera.
No, we're good. I tell those wrinkles are only where my smiles have been. Okay, so I got a lot of smiles.
All right. No, you look good. You look good. I'm sure during your time in that area that you've worked. And I think your other guests mentioned that, and the banker mentioned it, that government contractors fail. What has been, or that you've seen of, that you know of, some of the reasons why people have not experienced such success in the government contracting arena? Do you see any patterns, traits? Have you heard, I know you're talking to a bunch of smart people. Just, if you could share a couple of insights with us, that'd be great.
I tell you the thing I've noticed, I have a lot of friends that have similar businesses like I do, and they get past, they probably get to the, 12, 15, $20 million range. And where they fail is they think they're the smartest guy in the room. They take their eye off the ball. Okay. And they're not hungry anymore. They start to get, the benefits of being a successful entrepreneur, and you believe that, hey, I'm the smartest guy in the room and I can do anything. And they take their eye off running their company. And that's when the company goes. Next thing you know, they don't have any contracts, and it drops down, and you just, or they think, hey, I'm so important, I don't make those decisions anymore. My people will tell you that I'm a hands-on CEO. Okay. And I got to tell people and let them run their group, but you got to stay focused. I think the CEO is responsible for providing the vision and the culture. Okay.
The vision and the
vision is where we're going. Vision and culture.
Okay.
Those are the things. So the culture of the organization and the vision. So the vision takes you down the path. The culture is really going to how you do that. So how do you proceed down that path? With the right kind of people, doing the right, taking care of people, going after the right contracts, making sure you do things the right way. We at ITA, I remember I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Okay. So I can only remember things in 3. And so I have used an example of a 3-legged stool. Okay. And so we as a company, in order to have a stable stool, we got to maintain all 3 of the legs. And those 3 legs consist of our employees, our customers, and our partners. Because if we at the headquarters take care of our employees, and they can focus on taking care of the customers. If we at the headquarters focus on our partners, then they'll take care of our customer too. And so, at the headquarters, the HR people, their customer is the internal customer out that's facing the external customer. If they're worried about their pay, if they're worried about healthcare, if they're worried about PTO, they can't take care of the customer. So it's our responsibility to make sure we take care of the customer. And so that's the thing I would say. 3-legged stool.
Mike, I'm telling you, you could teach an MBA class.
I
know you didn't go to an MBA school, but you could definitely teach an MBA course.
Now, these are just years of experience. And I'll tell you, I couldn't have a better partner than my wife, Kathy. Okay. Because she is, and it's real funny. People first came into the company and they think, they underestimate Kathy. And she is probably one of the smartest people in the company too. Because she knows, she's very detailed. She knows what's happening. She's got great people skills. And together, I think we work well together. And I tell my guys, I don't have an accounting degree. Okay. they say, Mike, you're a managerial accountant. I said, okay, whatever that means, that's what I'm doing. Okay. You got to manage the money. You got to manage the money. So, and I tell people, business is really simple. More money comes in than goes out. If you do those two things, you'll be good.
Simple, right?
That's all. Forget all that other stuff. That's it, right
Forget
there.
everything we talked about for the last hour. If you, all right. So we're gonna take about everything we talked about for the last hour, and this is the final point, right?
Yes, that's it.
I'm gonna make this your intro right there. That's gonna be your quote for the intro. That's gonna be your intro quote. I like that. That's gonna be your intro quote. No, and I do, and I appreciate you sharing that about people taking their eye off the ball. I guess it does go along with the same lines of the Blockbuster, right? Netflix story.
Yes. No, you're exactly right.
Right, because again, Netflix originally went to Blockbuster and they turned them down.
Yeah, they did. Now they're thinking, oh man, and the Blockbuster's out of business, and Netflix is taking over the world.
Right.
So,
Right. Right. And again, you talk about being customer focused. They, again, they took their eye off in that regard as well, because they thought people want the experience of going inside.
Yes. And having to rewind it and pay a penalty for rewinding
and paying late fees, because remember, late fees was a part of their business model.
Yes, exactly right. Yes.
That's total opposite of customer centric.
Yes. Well, you can even make the case for Amazon and Barnes and Noble, or the bookstores. I mean, he is just like, okay, and Jeff Bezos is not perfect in the world, but he's done some great things in business. You got to give the man a lot of credit for his business savvy. I mean, he really has done some pretty cool stuff. So, and we want to do cool stuff too.
I think you're already doing it. Are you still doing the diver training? No,
we are not. We are not. What happened in 2003? I told you my book. If you can tell, you've probably seen a common thing where I love boats. Okay,
yes,
I
see that. I figured. What I figured, Mike. I thought that would be your answer. If you weren't doing this, you'd be out like teaching boating or something.
Oh no, I taught. Yeah, I actually taught seamanship navigation at the Naval Academy.
Okay, I was close.
I guess I could run a marina. That'd be a pretty good job.
Mike, run a marina. Maybe that should be your next acquisition, a marina.
Yes, I could be. I told that to Kathy. She said no. They don't make money. I said, okay, got it.
Okay.
I forgot the question.
What was I asking you? I forgot the question myself. What was I asking you?
That's okay.
We'll come back to it. Oh, I asked you about the diving, and you were telling me about
yeah. Well, going back to 2013, here's a lesson I learned on that. Is I started that dive company in 2010 in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Okay, because I thought offshore oil and gas and offshore wind was going to come to Virginia. The requirement for diving was going to expand exponentially, and so we'd be well positioned to jump into that marketplace. In Hampton Roads, there are 4 dive companies that have been servicing the ships in Hampton Roads for 40 years.
Okay,
and so I was projecting this significant increase in work for diving company. We were already going to be here. We'll be ready to go. That didn't happen. Okay. I lost probably about $2.5–3 million on that endeavor.
Wow.
And then sequestration hit. And so I had to shut down my dive team. Okay. And that was a lesson I learned. Here's an example. I thought I was the smartest guy in the room, and I had this vision for the future, and I went off down that path, and I didn't do my market research. I didn't understand the market. And so then it cost me money. But here's a story I always like to tell. We were in business for about 4 years, and we made the Inc. 500 at number 19. Okay. We had a 5,800% growth over those 4 years. Okay. And so I tell people, if we had kept that growth up, we'd be a $17 billion company. Well, we are not. Okay. So, but we had the pleasure of having lunch with Jim Collins, Good to Great, Thriving on Chaos. So the top 20 companies got to have lunch with Jim. And so we're all sitting around chatting. It was a great conversation. Kathy and I are sitting there. And then somebody asked the question, it says, Jim, how do you know if it's too much risk? And the answer he gave made a lot of sense to me from the Navy perspective. He says, if your risk and you've taken it fails miserably, if it sinks the ship, then it's too much risk. But if you get hit and it's above the waterline and you just live and keep going forward, you've learned something, you didn't sink the ship. And I always use my diving company as an example. I mean, that was an above the waterline hit. It failed miserably, but it did not sink the ship. And we learned lessons from that. And so our next acquisition, we did a lot of research on the marketplace, and specifically in data analytics is the company that we bought. And we bought the right company for where we want to take the company to. And it's where the market's going to. We're getting some tremendous traction on it. But I did that market research. And so you can take risk as long as it doesn't sink the ship.
But how would you have known it would have sank the ship? You wouldn't know that.
Well, you don't know, but like I could look at my cash flow, going back to cash flow. Cash is king, okay?
Right.
And I know that if this wasn't making money, that I had sufficient cash to still fund this organization. And if it got to a certain point where I couldn't, I could cut it off and I didn't lose anything. And that's exactly what happened. And so it wasn't one of those ones that, I invest $20 million in this thing and it fails miserably. And then I would not have the cash to support that operation.
Sure.
And that's what I'm talking. And so cash is king. I mean, you got to have the cash to run your operation.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. No. Okay. That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense there. But that's a great, I didn't know that about the top 20. Got a chance to sit down.
It's number 19. So that's pretty cool. So
no, that's really cool.
We've actually been on the Inc. 500 or 5,000. We've been on it 8 times. And so sequestration, we fell off it and we came back, we clawed our way back up. We got back on it. So my goal is to be on it 10 times. There's very few companies that have been on it 10 times. Our goal is to get on it 10 times. So that's the plan. So
you've mentioned Jeff Bezos, you've mentioned some other people. Are there any companies, again, taking the good to great model, are there any companies that I say model after, or that you think they're doing a good job?
Well,
that you'd like to be similar to? Not similar to in terms of business, but not in terms of the business, but itself, the company, right? Because that's what good to great talked about is great companies.
Well, and it's interesting that when you talk about the infinite game, it talks about worthy rivals, okay? Companies that you maybe not even in competition with them, but you look up to them to build your model after, okay? Right. And so naturally, I'm going to say Netflix. I really like the Netflix model, okay? I actually like the Amazon model. I think they did a great job of building something out. There's a couple of private companies that I talk about secure, stable, and sustainable. Tetra Tech and Bechtel are 2 companies they're billion-dollar companies, okay?
I know Bechtel.
Yeah, they're great companies, and they're in the same space that we're talking about being in. But they have a tremendous amount of capability. They do things right. Bechtel is actually a privately held company, and I'd love to remain as a privately held company. And I'd love to be a $1 billion privately held company. That's what I would love to be. Okay,
that's a great goal.
But it's because I think one of the challenges of a publicly traded company is you have a lot of stakeholders that influence your business decisions. Okay. And they drive you to make short-term decisions for, dividends. And the only 2 people that make those decisions at ITA are Mike and Kathy Melo. Okay. And so we can make decisions that may not make the best sense. They're not bad fiscal decisions, but they're decisions that you would not make if you were focused on dividends. Okay. And so it gives us the flexibility and the freedom to make long-term decisions that have a lasting impact on the company. And that's what Bechtel does. The long-term decisions, that's where they're going. They know where they want to head to, and that's what they're trying to do. So, so we're going to try to stay owned by Mike and Kathy as long as we can.
All right. No, I think that's great. Just for the small business guy out there, any other tips, words of wisdom, insights that you'd like to share?
I got so many scars that I think you have to. I really believe you find your niche or your niche in market and focus on that. Okay, build your customer intimacy, and even in the government contracting space, if you build that customer intimacy, when you go through tough times, the customers are going to help you. And we found during COVID, we had a lot of customers that worked with us and able to make sure we take care of our people, but also they accomplish their mission. So I think you got to build your customer intimacy, focus on something that you get to be known for, that, hey, I already know that these guys do that. Always watch your cash. Okay. Don't overspend, because that's That's what a lot of people do is they overspend, I think. And then when you get into troubles like with the COVID and people, they don't have the cash resources to survive it, they fail. And that's, you can't do that. So, and always hire people smarter than you. Don't, just because you're the owner of the company, don't be intimidated by hiring smart people. I will tell you one thing I do about hiring people is for senior leadership people, Kath and I take them out to dinner, or we take them out to lunch. Okay. 2 reasons. One is I want to see their table manners. Okay. Because they have bad table manners. I mean, they're going to be representing you in some form or fashion. And, I've had even senior military officers I've taken out to lunch and I was appalled by their table manners. Okay. But the other thing I think is even more important is how they treat the wait staff. Okay. Because how they treat the wait staff, if they're dismissive or that's how they're going to treat people. Okay. And we can't have that in the company. And so when you take them out there and we were interviewing for a chief operating officer. This lady had tremendous quals. She had great experience. We flew her in. We took her out to dinner. We took her to our favorite restaurant. We knew the wait staff intimately there, and she was just dismissive of the wait staff. So Kathy and I said, we're not hiring her because that's how she's going to treat people. We're not going to have that at ITA.
That's appalling.
It is. It is appalling.
But that's a great little hack.
Yeah.
I mean, it's efficient, it's effective, it's inexpensive.
You gotta eat.
You gotta eat. Like, we're gonna eat there. We love this place. We go there anyways. That's
yeah. So
wow.
Those are my stories. I have notes to make sure I told you everything I wanted to tell you.
Oh wow, look at that.
I'll tell you, Lauren prepped me up really well.
Lauren's great. I thank Lauren for reaching out to me and wanting to be on the show. That's great.
I have to chuckle. I told her the other day, I said, I had a whole bunch of people compliment me on my social media. So I took the credit for it. And then I said, no, it's Lauren.
No, that's great. Lauren did a good job of reaching out and letting us know.
I'm going to tell you this one thing. I said, don't take the eye off the ball. But the other thing I tell people all the time is I think I'm not the smartest guy in the room. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm a hard worker. And I think if you're going to run your business, hard work and persistent, don't just, if somebody's going to tell you no, don't just take that answer. Keep plugging forward and nobody outwork you. Nobody out hustle you. Because there's a lot of smart people that don't work hard.
Right.
That's what I've learned.
I've learned that as well.
That would be my 2 cents. So
I learned that as well. Mike, how can people reach you? Do you want them to reach Lauren? What would you like? Tell us the website. Tell us the email.
I'll tell you one thing. I'll give you my email address, and I'm on LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn user. Okay. So you can find me as simple as Mike Melo, MikeMelo at LinkedIn, or Mike Melo at ITA-INTL.com. Okay?
All right.
And I'll be glad to help anybody.
What kind of things do people, when they're reaching out to you, what kind of things that you like to talk about, or that people like to ask you, or that you're, what kind of things that, so people like, hey, Mike, what kind of people, what kind of situations, different things?
Well, I think the same thing. Virginia Tech football. I'll be glad to talk about Virginia Tech football. We're talking about Virginia Tech football.
What about just football, Mike? Can we say football? Okay, I'm a Florida Gator. Okay.
I gotta talk to Lauren now. I've got to talk to Lauren.
I get my Gator. Listen, hold on, Mike.
They beat us. They beat us in the. There it is. Okay. They beat us in the first round of the NCAA basketball tournament. I don't want to say anything, but they beat us.
That's okay.
I'm actually on the Virginia Tech Athletic Fund board of directors. So you got me off track again. I forgot.
See,
ask the questions to answer.
Yeah, questions and stuff people ask.
Business, hey, Mike, I'm thinking about starting this kind of business. What's your advice for business? And I'm interviewing a person for this position. I'm on. I don't know if you ever heard of the CEO project out of Inc. magazine.
No.
It's a pretty interesting group, but I'm on a peer group of 8 CEOs. We meet once a month and we talk about different issues. And it's real interesting. Of the 8 CEOs, 2 of us are owner CEOs and 6 of them are professional CEOs. Guys that get hired to be professional CEOs. There's a lady named Maria too. but they're hired to professionally be CEOs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting. We all have a different perspective. We all in different market sectors.
Right.
But, and you would think these guys are the smartest people in the world, but they're always looking for help. Okay. And so I tell people, especially entrepreneurs, we're all in this journey together, and I think most people want to help other people. And so I don't mind answering people questions, and people ask me for recommendations. I'll be glad to answer them.